I can't change who I am. Who I am certainly goes into my decision making, what I'm interested in, what are the things that I discuss and the things that I champion, to try to suspend who I am in the work that I do is really inhumane. It's inhuman. We don't. There's no on and off switch. But I sincerely believe that by having a better understanding of who I am, and part of who I am is also my biases and my interests, then I'll surround myself with people who are different from me, age, gender, ethnicity, and so when we discuss stories for a newscast or a particular project, it's the discussion that is enhanced by people putting in their point of view, their specific point of view, and then we can reach the center of stories that will resonate with most of our audience. NHJ is a good platform to do that. A lot of the work that the association does is it directly impacts the mission, and that's to champion the fair and accurate coverage of Latinos in the content that's being produced, regardless of the platform, and how they're being treated in the workplace. My approach as president of NHJ in talking to media companies is the same as theirs. I am interested in learning what their goals are, and simply put, if the 2010 census shows us that the country is growing largely due to the Latino population, certainly corporate America has embraced that, and from a standpoint of growing their business, they're marketing to Latinos in English and Spanish and even bilingual. Now, as we saw in the 2012 general election, Latinos are maturing where they're a political might and influence the general election as they're already doing at the local level. So which better partner to have than NHJ in helping them meet their goals, and by helping them meet their goals, we are serving our mission to our members and to the community that we're a part of and that we serve. NHJ it has done all those things for me, continues to do those things for me, and I sincerely hope that as you look at your careers and growing as a journalist, you look to NHJ to help you with that, but also help you in championing diversity, which not only will have a direct impact on yourselves, but also on the people who come after you. And that's it in a nutshell.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask you something? You were saying that NHJ promotes the fair content of Latinos in the coverage and also a good treatment in the workplace. I was wondering, what's your opinion of which are the challenges? How do you think that Latinos are being portrayed in media, or how we are treated within organizations?
Sure. The most recent story is the crisis in Venezuela. So what happened is interesting. You have a country, massive demonstrations, a government in turmoil, and at the same time, parallel, across the globe, something similar is happening in the Ukraine. And when you looked at the coverage in the United States, certainly Spanish language media was doing a very good job of covering the crisis in Venezuela. English language media was not. They've certainly have done a better job in recent days in that story, but it wasn't until they got a little bit of pressure from organizations, from the community, demanding that this story be given more attention. Part of the challenge, whether it's coverage, and it wasn't that they weren't covering Venezuela, it was almost like a sort of, and not to say that what's happening in the Ukraine should be equal to what's happening in Venezuela as far as coverage, but what we were seeing was something like this, and where you had 2 or 3 stories a day to maybe every other day a mention or a story on Venezuela. And so the discussion starts with, well, why is that happening? And whether it's Venezuela or stories similar to it, to Venezuela, be it internationally or domestic, but specifically of interest to Latinos, not just Venezuelans, because that story is not just about Venezuela, it's about its neighbors, it's about Venezuelans in the United States, and it's also a larger issue about Latinos, and really, it's also an issue about freedom of speech, which affects everyone, and is of major importance to this country, as we've seen in other countries, when similarly students protest because they don't have they're not given the opportunity to express themselves in a free press. So what happens is, usually, my first question is, well, who's in the newsroom? And part of the challenges that we face, and when I say we, it's the journalism community, and obviously specifically Latinos, is that we're not well represented in those newsrooms. And it's not just about being represented in front of the camera, it's also being represented in the editorial table. Like I mentioned before, if everybody around the editorial table looks alike, has the same experiences and interests, then their scope of stories to be discussed will be very narrow. It's when you have a diverse group of people, different backgrounds and interests, that when you're going around the table and talking about stories to cover that day, you widen the net of stories that are possibilities. It doesn't guarantee that a story is going to make it, but at least it guarantees that the story at least would be discussed. So a lot of times these newsrooms, there aren't Latinos in key decision-making positions, beginning with editorial, certainly in front of the camera, and so on. So what we work with media is to help them improve on that. They certainly work with NHJ in recruiting, in shaping our training. You know, a lot of the things that media company says, look, we understand, we get it. We need more newsroom managers. Where can we find them? We need to train them. So we've changed a lot of our programming at the regional and at the national level to help young Latino journalists get some of those skills, get to that next level, so they're stronger candidates for these positions when they do become available. We also, as we did just this week, I reached out to many media companies and said, look, I admit I haven't watched every newscast or read every newspaper or heard every radio program, but I have perused through your websites, and I really want to hear from you. How are you covering the Venezuelan story? And I reminded them that Venezuelans are the 13th largest Latino group in the United States. This is a story of major importance to them and to the Latino community as a whole, beginning with South Americans. We're talking about not just what the demonstrations are demanding, basic daily needs, but a freedom of the press, where networks like CNN are being kicked out of the country for doing their jobs. Journalists are being attacked for doing their job. So I mentioned that in my letter, but I also said we can help. We can help you by providing you journalists who are in Venezuela if you need it, or as a sounding board for story ideas, or even just as a, hey, we're thinking about doing a story, what do you think? I'll tell you of the nearly a dozen media companies that I reached out to directly, all of them, with the exception of one, responded. Within hours. Thanking me and our association for reaching out, but also giving examples of the work that they're doing. And not just work that they had done or they were doing that day, but even sharing some of their plans to increase coverage. And I said, this is great. I want this so I can share it with our association. And not only that, but keep the story alive and put it out there through my personal social media as well as NHJ. So this is what we want. They know they can do better. We're helping them improve on that by providing them candidates, training our members so that they could be stronger candidates in the future, and being a consultant to a certain degree in stories like this one. That's great, and that's moving in the right direction. I think that there's more that we can do, and it's not just about stories specifically affecting Latinos. One of the things that when I meet someone, I'm all saying, "Oh, hi, how are you? Nice to meet you. Where are you from?" I said, "Well, I'm from. I live in West Hartford." No. I mean, where are you from? And I'm like, "Well, I was born in northern New Jersey and worked here for most of my life." No. Where are you from? Like, I know what the question is in the beginning. They're asking me, I can't possibly be from this country. I mean, I'm the president of a Latino association. I'm a Latino. The perception is that Latinos can't be from here, and the only thing we're interested in are things that are specific to Latinos. And I tell them I am a Peruvian American, first generation Latino in the United States. Both my parents are from Peru. I've lived in Peru. So I self-identify with both cultures and countries. But I grew up in northern New Jersey, in the suburbs of New York City, and I probably have much more in common with people my age who grew up at that time in those suburbs than I probably do with Peruvians from Peru or Latinos from Los Angeles, Chicago, or Texas. My interests are not solely all Latino. I love Peruvian food, but I also love Italian food and Thai food, and I love salsa and merengue, but I also love jazz music and classical music, rock and roll. So,
Hope you love the Mets.
oh no, I'm a Yankee fan.
Oh, okay, that's a little different now. Okay, I was in love with you until then. Okay.
But the important thing is not just to be a conduit for those stories like Venezuela. That's a no-brainer. But it's also being involved in stories that affect all of us: the economy, education, health issues, so on, careers in the workplace. And our point of view is also valuable for those stories, because you could do a story about the economy and about unemployment, and there will be something specific to the African American community, to women, to Latinos, to Asians, different age groups. And so in telling those stories, again, having somebody who's part of our community with our point of view can only enhance what's being discussed and enrich the story and really help shape the point of view. And in shaping the point of view, you're setting yourself competitively versus other media outlets. So that's those are the challenges. That's where we're working on, and I feel confident, even in my role as NHJ president, and now almost 2 years, the needle is moving in the right direction. We're certainly not where we need to be, but it's one thing to identify a problem. Identifying problems is easy.